Happy Breeders' Cup Friday, winners and whiners and stable wagers, bringing you continuing coverage of the 2021 Breeders' Cup. And it is time for our Friday Breeders' Cup betting show. We're going to get you all set up. There's going to be 5 Breeders' Cup races today, all part of the action at Del Mar out in California. The weather is looking good. Temperatures in the lower 70s. It is going to be dry, and that means we are going to have fast and firm for the course conditions. And so far, the biggest news coming up out of Thursday is a couple of scratches in the turf race that was scheduled for Saturday. One of the co-favorites, Domestic Spending, for trainer Chad Brown, has been scratched, and along with United, Richard Mandela, the judge, announcing that United would be scratched out of the turf race as well. And then on late Thursday evening, word came out that Jack Christopher, the Breeders' Cup, announced last night that Jack Christopher in the juvenile race today will be scratched. That brings it down to a field of 11, but that is a notable scratch because Jack Christopher was the 9-5 morning line favorite for the 2021 Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Let's take a look, set the scene for the races today. We do have 5 races for the Breeders' Cup action. They start with race 6. That'll be the Juvenile Turf. Race 7, Juvenile Fillies. Race 8, the Juvenile Fillies Turf. And then this year they are mixing it up. The Juvenile will actually be race 9. And the final race of the day for the Breeders' Cup action will be the Juvenile Turf. Now, the Juvenile Turf Sprint starts the action, and that'll be right around 4:50 Central, 5:50 Eastern, as we take a look at the races. And overall, the selections, we've been doing preview videos of all 14 races. You can watch them at Winners and Whiners at the YouTube channel. We've also got them on Twitter and on Facebook. But for those of you who don't have time to stick around for the whole broadcast, I thought I'd do a quick summary of the selections for Breeders' Cup Friday. When we take a look at that turf sprint, the undefeated 4-for-4 Averly Jane is going to be the top selection. Echo Zulu is our best bet of the day. That is going to be in race 7. Malavath, a 12-1 shot in race 8. And then in race 9, we're going with Giant Game. That's who I'm taking in race 9. Dale Romans has this one. Jack Christopher is out of the race, so there may not be as much speed. I was a little bit more confident in this pick when I thought there was going to be maybe a speed duel between Corniche and Jack Christopher, but with Jack Christopher scratch, that does change the pace dynamic of the race. And Glounthaune is my selection in the final race of the day from Ireland. So that is a look at the overall selections as you take a look at your Breeders' Cup Friday. Now, again, we're going to talk a little bit more about that juvenile with the scratch of Jack Christopher. We're also going to re-handicap for Saturday the turf race with the big scratch of Domestic Spending and United, as that kind of alters the pace dynamics of that race a little bit more with Domestic Spending, because he was going to come from behind. And now, maybe it looks more like a mid-race move. The Euros are definitely going to be strong in that race with Tarnawa and Tiona. But let's get you started with some of our win bets and Exacta bets here on a Breeders' Cup Friday. Starting off with race number 6, our selection is going to be Averly Jane. Now, Averly Jane is 4-for-4 in her career. $35,000 October yearling purchase. And this horse started her career at Keeneland with a win. She's just been dominating. She won by 8 lengths. She won by 7 lengths. She won by 3 lengths. And, gets on the outside. Now, the immediate speed outside of her is One-Timer. And One-Timer, another one with a modest pedigree, $21,000. That would be my only concerns here with the favorite Averly Jane. Sometimes they get into these big races and some of the obscure pedigrees start to, just can't really match up with some of the stronger pedigrees in a race like this. Wesley Ward does good with the Sprinters, he does good with horses off a little bit of a layoff. Now, Averly Jane has won 2 minor stakes races, and they're not really minor. They had some big purses on them. Kentucky Juvenile, 150,000, Skidmore, 120,000, and the Indian Summer Stakes at Keeneland. Fast final time in 87 on the Buyers scale. And overall, Averly Jane is going to be my top selection. For the Exacta, I'm recommending some closers for the Exacta. A lot of times what I like to do whenever I like a front runner as my top selection, I like to play the contrarian angle for the Exacta. So I'm going to play Averly Jane in Exactas over the 3 closers, Dairy Nane for Christopher Clement, Coffee Maker, another Wesley Ward horse, and Hierarchy, one of the Europeans who I think may run a strong race in this spot here. I like the distance for him, 5 furlongs. One of the advantages the Euros have in a race like this is that they can come off the pace. A lot of times they run in straightaways there. So if they can handle the turn, their natural speed puts them behind. And it's always tough to wire a 5 furlong race. It may seem like that's what normally is going to happen, but what happens is late in the race, sometimes that pace can collapse a little bit, and you've always got to be careful. One time it's got some good speed. That is a horse you could use. We're going to take a look at some pick 5 selections in just a few minutes here, but the top selection again in race number 6 is Averly Jane. Next race on the board will be the Juvenile Fillies. 6 horses are entered in this race. As of this morning, there are no scratches. Desert Dawn out of the 1 hole. Hidden Connection, a big win last time out at Churchill Downs, dominated that race and was bet down to the favoritism that day. Hidden Connection was. Drew off by 9 lengths, and that was after a 7.5 length victory at Colonial Downs. I think there was some people kind of questioning the form on Hidden Connection going into that race, but she dominated that field. And, the fractions were a little bit on the slow side. 113 and change, 48-3 for the 4 furlongs. And I just don't think they're going to do that. I'm projecting a 47-2 or a 47-3 type fractions for the 4 furlong mark. And then the other horses in the race, Dallas Stewart has got the long shot in this race. Of course, it seems like he's always in that position, and he's got horses that can run all day. Sequist goes for West Point Thoroughbreds. $100,000 Keeneland September sale, and Dallas Stewart, this one's been showing off the pace running style. Problem is with Sequist, she's just been getting too far back. 16 lengths back the last time, 13 lengths in her debut, and 6 lengths. Also, just 3 races, 3 come from behinds, going to be closing late, can get the distance, but Sequist just has to show a little bit more speed to be competitive in a spot like this and actually win it. Now, Tarabi was runner-up to Echo Zulu the last time at Belmont, and then Juju's Map, the winner of the Keeneland Alcibiades Stakes for Brad Cox. But the top selection for me in this race is going to be Echo Zulu. Echo Zulu is my win contender. Now, with a small field like this, you're not going to get much in the Exacta, as I believe Echo Zulu is going to be right around 4 to 5 to even money. That's what it's trending in the overseas betting market early on. So Echo Zulu is going to be the type of horse that people are going to lean on in the pick 5s, pick 4s, and daily doubles. But Echo Zulu just has everything you want. She's 3 for 3. She won her debut. Then she went into a stakes race on opening day at Saratoga and won the Spinaway, and then closed out her prep campaign with a win at Belmont. All 3 of those races, she was just kind of handridden early and wasn't really being asked, and then kicked clear with a good turn of foot in the stretch. Of course, Echo Zulu is by Gunrunner, and Gunrunner was the winner of the 2017 Classic for trainer Steve Asmussen. Echo Zulu is trained by Steve Asmussen, and the best bet of the day is Echo Zulu. Key thing to note, also the pedigree on Echo Zulu, 1 1/16 should not be a problem. A couple of half brothers and sisters were stakes winners. J-Boys Echo, trained by Dale Romans. won the Gotham Stakes, ran competitively in the Kentucky Derby and other big races. Echo Town was a pure sprinter, but that one was trained by Steve Asmussen. And I always like it when a trainer gets multiple progeny out of a mare. They seem to kind of know some of the tendencies and train these horses up. Echo Zulu has been bet down, which tells me she's been working out well. So my Exacta in this race is going to be a straight Exacta, Echo Zulu over Hidden Connection and Juju's Map. That really isn't going to, pay that much more. You might be limited to an $8, $10 Exacta here. So you may want to play this straight. Pick one of those two, Hidden Connection or Juju's Map. So that's race number 7. When you take a look at the Juvenile Fillies here on a Friday. Now, race number 8, we go back to the turf. They'll be mowing the lawn in the Juvenile Turf Fillies. This is more of a wide open race, and definitely the Europeans will have some say in the final outcome of this race. I'm recommending an Exacta box. A lot of times in these full fields on the turf, I think sometimes you can get some prices, and I'm going to shoot for kind of a wide open Exacta. Miss and Scene, Malavath, Consumer Spending, Helen's Wall, and Cairo Memories. So a 5-horse Exacta box for $2 is going to be $40. Now, my top pick in this race is Malavath. And if you want to kind of just maybe narrow down the price a little bit and try to get a little bit more conservative, or maybe do a backup bet here, you could do a straight Exacta with Miss and Scene over Haughty, Helen's Well, and Malavath. And then you could do Malavath over Haughty, Helen's Well, and Miss and Scene. So there's kind of my 2 key horses in this race, if you don't want to do the Exacta box, is Miss and Scene. And then you can play Malavath on the bottom end of that Exacta. So there's some different ways. The 5-horse Exacta box, when you take a look at it from a, return on investment type, it's going to be a $40 bet, but you might be able to snag a $150, $200 Exacta, as most of these horses have some pretty good odds. Miss and Scene is 6-1. Malavath is 12-1. Consumer Spending is going to be roughly 8-1 in this race. And you could even make the case for a couple of other horses. Bubble Rock, you may want to consider on the bottom half of the Exacta, and Cairo Memories also a chance. But, I like Helen's Wall, long shot, going to be a closer. Again, whenever I like a horse kind of near the pace, I want to have kind of that deep closer. Rispoli is 30-1, the jockey, and then Haughty for Tyler Gaffleone and Chad Brown. Normally you don't see 10-1 on a Chad Brown horse. And I think some of the Chad Brown horses are kind of hard to distinguish in a spot like this, as, they got to ship, they've got to get over the surface. Some of the Europeans horses went over the quarantine this week, and they've got to come back and take a look at how they can do on this Del Mar turf course. So the next race we're going to take a look at here is the Juvenile. The Juvenile is a 11-horse race now with a scratch of Jack Christopher. You've got Corniche on the outside for trainer Bob Baffert. That is most likely going to be your favorite in this race. And now you've got to move up some of the other horses in this spot. Command Performance was second to Jack Christopher, so I think he's going to take some money. But one of the things with Command Performance is that he is a closer, and he is still a maiden in this race. And I'm not sure the pace profile is going to be as strong of a fractions will be as strong with the scratch of Jack Christopher. They may just let Corniche kind of bound along on the front end. And that's what he was able to do in the American Pharoah Stakes when he went on to victory that day. My top selection in this race is Giant Game. Probably the odds are going to come down a little bit with the scratch of Jack Christopher, probably anticipating more like 20-1. Double Thunder for Todd Pletcher, definitely under consideration. And then Pappacap has got a little bit of experience with him, and I thought he ran a good race the last time out. Had no chance to catch Corniche, but if Corniche could catch a little bit more heat on the front end, then I think that could maybe set it up for a horse like Pappacap, Double Thunder, or Giant Game. Kind of hard to peg Barassa. The last time out was his 3rd lifetime race. A lot of times horses improve in that race. Speed figure really didn't go up, so I'm not so sure if Barassa really improved in that last race. I thought he was a little bit of a surprise entrant here. Pinehurst has been working really well since the maiden Del Mar Futurity the last time. He broke his maiden, then he came back and won the Del Mar Futurity. He's got 5 workouts since that race. He passed on the American Pharoah, but Pinehurst definitely one you may want to consider in this race. Again, my top pick is going to be Giant Game. I'm going to recommend another Exacta box in this race. The Japan horse is a little bit intriguing here. Jasper Great. Jasper Great won by 10 lengths in a 154. He's already ran a mile and an eighth. So he's going to be cutting back to a mile and a 16th in this race. On paper, he's a little bit slower, but a lot of times that Japan surfers can play a little bit slow, and the class is there. He's by Arrogate and a 10-length winner in his debut. I like the fact the Japan horses are coming over here. They're bringing over some horses to try to win a Breeders' Cup race, and Jasper Great could be one to consider in an Exacta box with Pappacap, Giant Game, Corniche, and Pinehurst. Maybe you get one of these shots on top. If you want to play Corniche on top and kind of just key him, then I would just play him over these horses, Jasper Great, Pappacap, Giant Game, and Pinehurst. So there's a little bit way of going. Remember, one of the things you got to look at in a race like this is where the speed is. The speed is on the outside, and Corniche got a little bit easier fractions the last time. He is definitely facing a tougher field. Pinehurst was able to skip the American Pharoah Stakes races, and I think he is fresh for this race. Bob Baffert trains 3. Bob Baffert trains 3 horses. Corniche, Pinehurst, and Barassa are his 3 horses in this race. So the strategy here for me is to kind of play an upset with Giant Game. With Jack Christopher scratch, there's less speed. So Corniche probably has a little bit more of a chance in this race. So Exactas, I'm going to go Giant Game over Corniche, Pinehurst, Tough to Tame, and Jasper the Great. If you don't want to do the Exacta box and you want to kind of narrow down your contenders on the win end, you could maybe come back and play Corniche over Giant Game, Tough to Tame, Jasper the Great, and Pinehurst. The reason why I'm throwing Tough to Tame in there, I think he's a horse that can get the distance. He had a little bit of a rough trip the last time. He seemed to be ranked the entire race, but he did come running late against a horse named Major General, who I think would have had a little bit of a shot in this race. They are passing up on this race. They may run later on this fall in the Remsen. So a wide open race 9 in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. And I'm thinking the pace may collapse a little bit in this race. So I want some of the closers in this race with Giant Game. And, you know, you may want to take a long look at Jasper Great, that 10-length win in Japan. I think some people are going to overlook him, and he could be 12-1 in this race. Now let's take a look at our recommended pick 5. I tried to do a little bit of a caveman ticket here. Again, what I'm trying to do, you know, I don't ever really recommend a caveman ticket, but sometimes I want to show you the thought process. You know, I think there's a couple of ways of playing this race. You can definitely look at keying a horse like Corniche, or maybe even keying a horse like Echo Zulu. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go 5 deep on this $90 ticket. Try to get a little bit of a shot in there with Averly Jane. Averly Jane could be a potential single if you want to go a little bit deeper in race 10. And then Echo Zulu is going to be the key on both of my pick 5 tickets. I just think she's got too much class. I think she's got the pedigree. I think she's fast, and also gets Joel Rosario after winning her first 3 career races. Then in race 8, I'm going to go a little bit deeper again, back on the turf. I'm going to kind of take my Miss Encine. I'm going to take my pick in Malavath and then throw in a couple of horses. I think the 2 hardest races in this series is race 8 and race 9. That's why I've highlighted those. Those are the races that you have to go a little bit deeper in. And then I'm going to throw in a horse like Giant Game in there, along with Pinehurst and Corniche, trying to get a little bit of a shot, trying to bump up the price if this ticket does come in. And then in the last race, I'm going to close it out with Modern Games, Glounthaune, and Dakota Gold. Dakota Gold impressed me in that Monmouth race. Didn't really face much, but I like the way he just kind of closed down the lane. I think he's got enough tactical speed to lay close. Modern Games seems really highly regarded for the Europeans, and Charlie Appleby seems confident that Modern Games is going to run a good race. I like him a little bit better than El Bahar, so that's why I'm not putting El Bahar in my pick 5 on this race. Now, if you have a little bit more money or if you want to get some partners, I'm going to do another ticket here that is $135. And this one throws in a couple of other horses. In race 6, we add the one horse. I'm still keying Echo Zulu. My whole day is going to be determined by Echo Zulu. Now, if you're the type of player that doesn't want to key a horse on a bigger ticket, then you may want to play Hidden Connection. Then I would do a backup ticket keying Averly Jane, playing Hidden Connection in race 7. I still think race 8 and race 9, you've got to go deep. Now, in race 9, I'm just concentrating on Corniche, Giant Game, and Pinehurst, but you could take Tough to Tame. Jasper the Great is a horse you can consider. And then again, I'm sticking with the big 3, Modern Games, Dakota Gold, and Glounthaune. But you may want to throw El Bahar in there if you want to do a little bit bigger ticket in the pick 5 as you start to plan out your strategy. Lots of ways to go. It is the 5 Breeders' Cup races are part of the Breeders' Cup pick 5, the late pick 5 today from Del Mar. Tomorrow, when we preview the 9 races on Breeders' Cup Saturday, we're going to do a couple of pick 5 tickets in there as well. We're going to go through all the selections. We're going to be on the air at 8 o'clock again on Saturday Central Time, which is 9 Eastern. And for those of you up early on the West Coast, you can either catch it live or on the replay. But different ways to go in the pick 5. Again, race 8 and race 9. Those are the ones that I'm going to try to catch a little bit of a price. Race 8 to me is the toughest one. I want to be 6 to 7 deep in that race. And that's just the way you got to play it out. It's kind of hard to play them all. I did want to retake a look at the turf. I did preview the turf for handicap, but my top selection in that race was Domestic Spending. He is now scratched. So 2 horses are now in there, Bolshoi Boy and Channel Maker, that weren't in there originally. United was also scratched for trainer Dick Mandela. The pace of this race, I think, is going to be a little bit on the slow side, but I do think there's an honest pace setter in here, and that's Tribuhaven. Tribuhaven, the 5 horse, is going to be out there for Chad Brown. Now, it could get a little bit of a classic pace with Acclimate, but I think Acclimate has the ability to sit second and maybe lay just off the pace by Tribuhaven. But originally, Tribuhaven, I thought, was in there to set it up for Domestic Spending. Now with him scratched, you've got Rock Emperor, who's coming off a grade 1 victory the last time out at Belmont at 15 to 1. He's still going to be a price in this spot. With the scratch of Domestic Spending, it does move up a horse like Tarnawa and Tiona. Personally, I like Tiona just a little bit better than Tarnawa. I like the fact that they're taking on the boys. They get a little bit of a weight allowance. The fact that they want the 1.5 miles tells me that she is in shape and really wants to. This would be a quality win if they could beat Tarnawa on the square at 1.5 miles. And then, you know, if you want to go a little bit deeper tomorrow in your pick 5s and pick 4s, maybe an Exacta, you could possibly take a look at Sisafran and Gufo. Gufo maybe could be the closer in this race from the American contingent, along with Rock Emperor. My top selection is going to be Tarnawa, but Tiona is definitely a use. You have to use them both. I think Tiona has a little bit more upside and a longer price. Tarnawa is the horse that is trying to win it for back-to-back years. So Bolshoi Boy, to me, is not really a contender. Channel Maker does add a little bit more speed. With United now scratched, I have him listed as number 2, but he is scratched. So maybe Walton Street moves up a little bit if you get a little bit more of a speed duel with Channel Maker, Tribuhaven, and Acclimated going out on the front end. So the turf definitely kind of a in play. So that's a look at your Breeders' Cup Friday. Later on today, we're going to have a video on our best bet of the day on Echo Zulu. We're also going to have a pick 5 video and recap all of our selections for the Breeders' Cup. If there's any scratches, we'll let you know and update some of our selections here. But so far, Juvenile Turf Sprint going to start it off. The Juvenile Fillies as well, as we get you ready for the Breeders' Cup action on Friday from Del Mar, winners and whiners, along with the stable wagers, bringing you continuing coverage of the 2021 Breeders' Cup.